Sunrise HCM is the only full-service payroll, HR, project and expense management, and billing application built natively on the Salesforce platform. Established in 2017 by industry veterans with over 30 years of payroll and HR expertise, this revolutionary platform disrupts traditional payroll services by eliminating all transaction fees while delivering comprehensive human resources, project management, and billing capabilities directly on the Salesforce platform. Sunrise HCM saves organizations over 50% in payroll and human capital management costs while reducing processing time by more than 1,000 hours annually. Built natively on the Salesforce platform, Sunrise HCM streamlines your entire workforce management process through a single, secure platform that handles everything from recruiting and onboarding, compensation budget management, to scheduling, time tracking, and full-service payroll, and project management and billing. Sunrise HCM is committed to zero hidden costs, which means no transaction fees, no per-payroll charges, no direct deposit fees, and no additional charges for tax filings, W-2s, and 1099s. Sunrise HCM delivers enterprise-grade human capital management that's both powerful and cost-effective. During this demonstration, you will learn why so many companies have chosen Sunrise HCM to replace their costly, non-Salesforce platform applications for human capital, payroll, and project management and billing. After watching this video, please visit us at sunrisehcm.com and select the Schedule a Meeting button to book a meeting to see a live demonstration. Let's start this demonstration by jumping to a day in the life of a functional manager or project manager who is scheduling an employee against a project and adjusting daily scheduled hours to match the desired start times and end times of the schedule. As a shift or project manager, select the Schedule Manager. Then select the shift or project. Next, create a new schedule. Select the employee or contractor. The approver defaults to the shift manager or project manager. Set the start date. If the schedule is related with a project, select the project, select a project role, set the bill rate, and the cost rate is automatically set to the default cost rate defined on the related position. This cost rate is typically a blended rate designed to mask the actual cost rate of each individual employee or contractor. Then submit the schedule for approval. In this case, the schedule is automatically approved because the creator is the shift or project manager. If you need to update the schedule hours on any days, simply select the day and adjust the start time and/or the end time and save the updates. All scheduled hours, scheduled billings, and scheduled costs are calculated for each day of the schedule, allowing the shift or project manager to forecast revenue and cost of labor. Next, as an employee, let's enter time for payroll and project time tracking. Let's also enter time against PTO so that the employee is paid for time off, and so that the employee's PTO balances are automatically updated. From the employee self-service page, select the Pay Period Time Entry option. Next, create a time card against a project schedule. Note that the employee has also entered time against a non-project-related schedule. Select the date for the time entry. The time defaults to the scheduled start time. This may be adjusted. Next, select a timeout value. You may select a time from the list or manually enter time down to the minute. Since this time is against a project, enter project time notes. To relate the time interval against a project fixed fee or project phase for more granular time and cost tracking, let's relate this time to a project fixed fee and project phase. In this case, the employee does not have a specific project task for the time. Next, save the time entry interval. Once the time entry is saved, in our example, our employee needs to enter additional time against the project. If additional time needs to be entered against the same schedule on the same day, select the date. Select the Add Interval button. The employee then is able to set the start time and end time values for this interval of time. Time intervals may be created for as many start and end times as needed on a particular day. Enter the project time notes. Select the project fixed fee and project phase that relates with this time interval and save. Next, because the employee needs to log time against PTO, the employee adds another time card against the PTO shift. The system automatically finds the employee's leave entitlement for PTO. The employee then selects the days for PTO, selects the Set Default button, which will automatically set the time in and time out values to the default of, in this case, 8 hours. Note, when taking partial days off, The employee may adjust the time in and time out values. The employee saves the time. The employee submits the time for payroll purposes. The employee may also submit the project time that is automatically created for project cost and billing. After time is entered and submitted, the approving manager reviews and approves the time so that payroll may be calculated and processed. As the functional manager who is approving the time, select Time Card Approval. The approver is provided with a summary of all time for a pay period. Next, select the pay period time. The system provides a summary of all hours that are submitted and summarizes hours. The approver may drill into the details of the hours by selecting the employee. Hours for each day are calculated, including all regular and overtime hours. In this case, the approver is reviewing the details of employees who have overtime hours for each week of the pay period. Finally, once the manager has finished reviewing the daily time, all timesheets are approved. Note: if any time requires correction, the approver may select the time and reject it back to the employee. The reviewer may also provide approval notes before they approve the time. Sunrise HCM's included project management module allows your project management office to manage the billing frequency separately from payroll. As we have seen, an employee enters time once, and it is used for both payroll processing and customer project billing purposes. This eliminates the need for double data entry and reduces the chances of discrepancies between payroll and billing systems. The project manager may now review and approve project time at a frequency that matches their requirements for project billing, rather than being forced into a process that is dictated by payroll operations. The project manager selects the billing time approval. The system displays an hours summary by project billing time period. The project manager selects a time period. The system calculates all hours, including the hourly billable amount, for each project team member who has submitted project time. In this example, one employee has submitted project time. Next, select the employee. All project hours and billable amounts are calculated for each interval of time. Finally, the project manager approves the time. This time is then immediately reflected in the project's hours, cost, and billings. Project time, expenses, fixed fees, and adjustments may be processed through Sunrise HCM's billing process. The resulting billing record represents an invoice header, and the billable items, such as project time, represent invoice line items. Since Sunrise HCM data is native Salesforce data, these billings and billing line items may be quickly integrated with any Salesforce platform accounting application. In the following example, the Accounts Receivable admin generates billings for time and expenses. The Accounts Receivable admin selects the Manage Project Billings button. Next, select the Create Billings button. When filtering for billable items, select either a date range of all approved items on or before a specified date. The system defaults to display billable items based on company code, project, and account. After selecting the Next button, a summary groups projects by customer account and then by project. A summary of time, expenses, fixed fees, and adjustments is presented. By selecting a project, individual billable items may be included or removed from the billing before proceeding. Next, select the Preview Billings button. The billing date defaults to today's date, but may be updated to match the actual date to be used on the invoice. After reviewing the updates, the Save button is selected and a billing is created. Finally, select the Billing and the Approve button. On the related project, the total billed amount is updated. Note: through the assignment of Sunrise HCM permission sets, the billing creation and approval steps may be divided between users to allow for segregation of duties. Let's move on to payroll processes. As a payroll admin, you may need to create one-time payroll earnings and deductions. These may be in addition to existing scheduled payroll earnings and deductions. One-time payroll earnings may be used to pay a bonus, commission, a non-taxable reimbursement, and any other earnings and deductions that are specific to just one pay period. To create one-time payroll earnings, the payroll admin selects the Manage Payroll Earnings and Deductions button. Next, select the One-Time Earnings button. To add more than one earning, select the Add Rows button. The system displays all active employees and contractors. To filter this list down, select the Show Filters button. On this filtering page, filter down your list based on a number of criteria, such as tax classification, employee payroll frequency, organization, and even based on the functional manager of the employee or contractor. As additional filtering criteria are applied, the list of employees is filtered down. Select one or more employees and then select the Next button. On the next page, as information is entered into the template, this information is applied to all selected employees. In our example, one-time payroll earnings are being created to pay a sales bonus to all employees in the sales organization in the regular payroll for a specified company code in the selected pay period. Once all details have been entered for the one-time payroll earning, select the Finish button. On the final page, select the Save button to create the one-time payroll earning, which will now automatically pick up when payroll is processed. To process payroll, the payroll admin selects the Run Payroll button. To run the regular scheduled payroll, select the applicable payroll. In our example, we select the bi-weekly payroll that has a pay date of February 7th. The system displays a summary for time and one-time earnings and deductions that apply to the selected payroll. The payroll admin can drill down into the time summary to see the list of included employees and contractors, a summary of their time, and a gross time earnings amount. Next, the payroll admin drills down to see the details of the one-time payroll earnings. In our example, we see the bonus that we created for the sales team. To submit the payroll, select the Start Payroll Process button. The payroll admin then selects the Send to Payroll Engine button. After the payroll engine validates the payroll is updated to a status of submitted. From the View Payrolls page, the payroll admin can drill down into the details. Through the reports provided, the payroll admin can review the payroll recap and funding requirements. The payroll admin can also view the payroll register summary. This report shows the details for each employee and contractor. The payroll admin may also review the submitted payroll by pay group. In our example, we drill down into the payroll actuals for the salaried employees, reviewing the details of all earnings, deductions, taxes, and direct deposits for the selected employee. We then drill down into the California non-exempt pay group. We can see the employee we used earlier in this demo to enter, submit, and approve hours for. Here, we once again see the earnings, deductions, taxes, and direct deposits for the selected employee. At this point in the process, the only thing the payroll admin must do is ensure the company checking account contains the required funds to settle the payroll. Sunrise HCM takes care of the rest. Sunrise makes the direct deposits, pays the taxes, and files the necessary payroll tax reports with the required tax jurisdictions. Through the use of the employee self-service options, an employee may select the View Pay Statements button. To view the details of the employee's payroll, select the desired payroll. In our example, the employee selects the February 7th payroll. The details of the payroll are displayed to the employee, who may then elect to download the pay stub. Expense reports may also be managed through Sunrise HCM. An expense report may be created against a project or, for non-project related expenses, a project is not required. In our example, a project team member is creating an expense report against a project. From the Employee Self-Service options, select the Expense Entry button. Select the New Report button. On the Expense Entry page, the project team member enters an expense report name, selects the applicable project, and, in our example, selects a project phase. For each expense, a row is added, the date of the incurred expense is entered, an expense type is selected, and billable and reimbursable amounts are entered. If creating an expense report against a project, the project controls whether or not a billable expense may be entered against it. Additionally, the expense may either be reimbursable to the employee or not reimbursable, as is the case if the employee used a company credit card. The expense types are typically updated during implementation to match how the accounting team accounts for the cost and invoices that are sent to a customer. After all expenses are entered, select the Save button. The system will validate that the amounts entered in the billable and non-billable amounts balance with the reimbursable and non-reimbursable amounts. In our example, the amounts entered do not balance. The error is cleared, and the corrected amount is entered and successfully saved. Now, the employee may attach receipts to the expense report by selecting the Attach Receipts button. Receipt images may be added by selecting the Upload Files button or by simply dragging and dropping the receipts. Each attached receipt is viewable by selecting the name of the receipt. Using standard Salesforce files, the stored file image is displayed. In our example, the project team member selects each receipt for review before submitting the expense report. Once satisfied, the project team member selects the Submit for Approval button, which then submits and notifies the approver that action is required. After an expense report is submitted, the approver is notified that action is required. The approver selects the Expense Approval button. From the expense report summary page, the approver may then drill down into the expense report to see the detailed expenses as well as the attached receipts. To approve the expense report, select the Approve button. If using the Project Management and Billing feature of Sunrise HCM, a project manager always has their fingers on the pulse of the project through real-time updates to the project margin, hours, billings, cost, and status. Additionally, controls are easily established directly at the individual project level to ensure time, cost, and billings comply with the statement of work. A project manager may quickly see the status of all employees and contractors who are scheduled against the project. Each time a billing is created against the project, a project manager can view the billing, the status of the billing, and its related data are quickly accessible to the project manager. When time is entered against a schedule related with a project, as we saw earlier in this demo, a project time record is automatically created to capture hours, cost, and billable amounts. Expense reports entered against the project are also quickly accessible from the project, which shows who created the expense report, status, and amounts. A summary of the fixed fees, the status, delivery target, and actual dates, billable amounts, and related costs are displayed. A project manager may also manage the phases of their project, including the start and end dates, planned hours, actual cost, and related expenses. If project tasks are used and assigned to project team members, a project manager has quick access to see the status of those project task assignments. Finally, in this brief overview of project management, project adjustments may be created to account for hours, cost, and billing adjustments, as in this example that shows adjustments created for a billing credit and the related time cost. Let's shift gears and take a look at some of the recruiting and onboarding processes that are built into Sunrise HCM. As a hiring manager, I can requisition a new position, define its responsibilities, and, once approved, post this position to the careers page. By reviewing the recruiting dashboard, I see that a position is approved but not yet posted. I select the position from the dashboard. I review the details of the position, including the managers, the target start date, the position summary, requirements, and responsibilities. I then select the Create New Internal Posting button to post the position opening. Once posted, I can see that the position is now showing on the careers page, which allows for interested parties to apply for the position. As someone who is interested in new position openings at the company, I can review jobs posted by selecting the careers page. I can then apply for the position. After applying, I see that a new position application record has been created and assigned to the functional manager and HR manager for their review. As a hiring manager, I can see that a position application was created, and I can now decide to either reject the application or create and assign interviews. As the hiring manager, I select the Create and Assign Interviews button. To choose from any number of interview templates your organization has created, search for a template that applies to the organization, job, and/or job family. Next, select the desired template, define the number of interviews you want performed, and select the Create Interviews button. In the list of interviews, select a person to perform each interview. Each interview is a private record visible to the hiring manager and the HR manager, as well as the person who is assigned to perform the interview. In this window, the hiring manager can also review a summary of the position and set an interview due date. Next, select the Assign Interviews button. The interviews are created, and the people who are performing the interviews are notified. When an interview is assigned, a notification and/or an email is sent to the interviewer. The interviewer selects the link to the interview. Select the Perform Interview button. The interview summary and its questions are displayed. The interviewer performs the interview and completes the interview questions. As interview questions are scored, based on the template's scoring setup, the summary calculates a weighted score and an interview weighted score percentage, allowing the hiring manager to objectively compare the results of all interviews. The interview components of Sunrise HCM provide a way to standardize a minimum set of baseline questions, the expected responses, and scoring values based on job family, job, and position requirements. All of the interview results are tied directly to a position applicant's information and is retained in accordance with your company's data retention policies. When the interview is complete, the interviewer selects the Mark as Complete button. This will then notify the hiring manager that the interview is complete and ready for his or her review. Let's assume that a decision has been made, an offer letter has been sent to the position applicant, and the HR manager has assigned onboarding tasks to the new employee. The new employee is notified to complete the onboarding tasks. As the new employee, I'm able to go to my HCM tasks and see the status of the newly assigned tasks. In this example, the employee selects the task to update the biographical information. The employee reviews the biographical information and may edit it before submitting. The employee selects the Submit for Approval button. Next, the employee selects the task to fill out the Form I-9. The employee completes the required information in the Form I-9. All of the data captured in the form is stored by Sunrise HCM. All of the Department of Homeland Security fields for Section 1, which is completed by the employee, and Section 2, which is completed by the reviewer, are represented in Sunrise HCM's form fill, including but not limited to the employee's name, address, date of birth, and email address, and the reviewer's name, title, company name, and address. Additionally, documents that are attached to the I-9, such as the Department of Homeland Security's required documentation, along with a PDF of the completed and approved I-9, are stored in the employee record. The employee selects a citizenship or immigration status, then electronically signs and dates the Form I-9. If the Form I-9 is completed with the help of a translator, the employee may indicate this on the form. After the form is completed by the employee saves the data before moving on to attaching the required documentation. The employee selects the Manage Form I-9 Attachments button. The employee may then review a list of acceptable documents. In our example, the employee opts to provide a List A document. The employee selects the List A button, selects the file that is to be attached, and selects the Save button, returning the employee to the main I-9 page where the Submit for Approval button is selected. Once submitted for approval, the reviewer is notified that they must take action to complete Section 2 and approve the Form I-9. Until the Form I-9 is approved, the HCM task will display in the My HCM Tasks main page. In this case, we can see that the status of the I-9 is submitted. For the purpose of this demo, we are skipping the Form I-9 approval process and are viewing the HCM Task Approval page where we see that all HCM tasks are completed. In the Form I-9 tab of the employee record, we select the Form I-9 record. We see that Sunrise HCM saved all of the entered and approved data. By selecting the related files, we can also see that the image of the employee's passport they uploaded, as well as the systematically generated Form I-9 PDF, are saved to the employee record. Let's take a look at some of the many dashboards available. For example, a compensation management dashboard, highlighting upcoming merit reviews, compa ratio deviations, and compensation changes that need approval. A recruiting dashboard that assists hiring managers to understand which new positions still need to be posted, the number of position applications relative to position requisitions, and how many position requisitions are in the interviewing process. A project monitoring and control dashboard that provides project managers with a dashboard view of project data to assist them in managing schedules, fixed fee billing, and project tasks. A project financials dashboard that assists project managers, the accounting team, and project leadership with a quick view of overall project financial health, margin, scheduled revenue, and newly created billings ready for invoicing. These are just a few of the many reports and dashboards that are available in Sunrise HCM. Since Sunrise HCM is built natively on the Salesforce platform, all Sunrise data can be viewed in custom reports and dashboards. Some of the other many features available in Sunrise HCM includes employee self-service options. As an employee, I can view and download my pay stubs, which we showed you earlier in this demo. I can also view the details of all of my hours by pay period. If I want to know how much paid time off I have available, I have direct access to view my leave entitlements, the balances, and the details of all accruals, carryovers, and debits. Additionally, I can review, update, and approve direct deposit bank account information for my pay. As a cost center manager, I can manage the compensation budget, review compensation commitments, which are systematically calculated based on active employees and their various types of compensation, and compensation actuals, which are also calculated systematically when payrolls are processed. By using the Sunrise HCM compensation management process, I can instantly see my cost center's budgeted versus actual amounts and whether I have budget to hire that new employee. As an HR manager, I can quickly and easily manage paid and unpaid leave entitlements for my employees by simply dragging and dropping new leave entitlements and updating them to account for events such as stopping paid time accrual during FMLA time off. You have seen some of the many reasons why so many companies have chosen Sunrise HCM to replace their costly, non-Salesforce platform applications for human capital, payroll, and project management and billing. Thank you for watching this demonstration. Schedule a meeting today to learn more about the many business problems Sunrise HCM solves by going to sunrisehcm.com and selecting the Schedule a Meeting button to select a time that works for you and your team.